I want you to close your eyes for a second. Well, unless you're driving or operating heavy machinery, in which case, please, for the love of safety, keep them open.
Yeah, definitely keep your eyes on the road.
Right. But for everyone else, just humor me for a moment. Imagine you are standing on the edge of a lake. It's early morning. The air is crisp. Maybe there's a little mist rolling off the
Oh,
water.
that's a classic image. Very
It
peaceful.
is. You're holding a fishing rod. You pull your arm back.
Yeah,
You cast that line, and the plug hits the water with that perfect, satisfying little splash.
just waiting for the bite.
Exactly. And then, bang, a fish strikes. You feel that distinct tug on the line. You're instantly connected to something alive under the surface. You've hooked it.
It's a great feeling.
But here's the thing, and this is the crucial point our source material makes today for this deep dive. You will never, ever actually have that fish in your hands unless you do one specific thing.
Right, you have to reel it in.
You have to reel it in. And that simple mechanical action is really the core metaphor driving our conversation today. We are exploring the law of attraction.
Which, let's be honest, is a term that carries a whole lot of baggage.
Oh, absolutely. It's totally loaded.
Yeah, some people hear it and they immediately think quantum physics, while others hear it and think magic tricks or just wishful thinking. It's become a bit of a buzzword that's lost its original meaning over the years.
Right. And that's exactly why I was so interested in this specific source material. We're looking at a lecture by the late Bob Proctor. He was a massive figure in the personal development space, heavily featured in the film The Secret.
A really foundational text for a lot
Yeah.
of people.
Yeah. And what struck me is that he doesn't frame this as magic at all. He frames it almost like engineering.
Yeah.
He argues that most people are actually great at casting the line. That's the desire part, but they are terrible at reeling it in.
Because that's the core distinction we need to unpack today, desire versus expectation.
Yes.
Proctor argues that attraction isn't even the primary law at play here. It's actually a secondary effect of a much more fundamental physical law, which is the law of vibration.
So our mission for this deep dive is to figure out why we keep losing the fish. We're going to look at the mechanics behind this, like why your common cold might actually be a sort of confusion hangover.
That part is wild.
It is. We'll also get into why focusing on debt guarantees you stay poor and how a garbled voicemail led to a global phenomenon.
It's a really dense stack of ideas, but when you line them up, they paint a very specific, almost mechanical picture of how reality functions.
Let's start with that fishing analogy because it frames the problem perfectly. Proctor says desire and expectation are two different phases of the same law. But I think for a lot of people, I mean, those words just feel synonymous. If I want something, don't I automatically expect it.
You would think so, right? But Proctor says no. Think of desire as the cast. When you desire something, whether it's a specific amount of money or a relationship or a career change, you are instantly connected to the invisible side of that good.
Like the fishing line going taut.
Exactly like the line going taut. The connection is real, it's immediate, and it exists in the mental realm.
So just by wanting it, the connection is established.
In a sense, yes, you've established the energetic link. But, and here is where people get tripped up, expectation is the reeling in. Expectation is the actual mechanism that pulls that invisible desire into the visible physical world.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate here.
Right.
If I want a promotion, obviously I'm expecting to get it. Otherwise, why would I even bother applying?
Well, that's the logical assumption. But let's look at the emotional reality. Think about how many times you've wanted something, say that promotion, but deep down, the narrative running in your head is they'll never pick me, or I'm probably not qualified, or the economy is bad.
Ah, I see. So the want is there, but the underlying belief is shaky.
Exactly. If you cast the line with desire, but you're standing there thinking there's no way I'm catching anything today, you create resistance.
You're not reeling.
Right. You might have the connection, but you aren't bringing it closer. In fact, Proctor argues that if you desire something but don't expect it, you're in a state of confusion.
And confusion is a bad vibe.
It's a terrible vibration. That confusion often leads you to attract exactly what you don't want. You're sending out a mixed signal. I want this, but I expect that.
And the universe, according to Proctor, responds to the expectation, not the desire.
Precisely.
He tells this story about a bumper sticker to illustrate this shift, which I loved. He found it years ago, and it just said, expect a miracle.
Right. And most of us would see that chuckle and just keep driving.
But he didn't. He put it on his car or kept it with him, and he says he just stared at it. He kept looking at it until it actually shifted his internal state. It wasn't just words anymore.
He says he reached a point where he was expecting something so good to happen that he couldn't even explain what it would be.
Just a generalized sense of anticipation.
Exactly. He wasn't visualizing a specific car or a big check. He just lived in that state of high anticipation. He was vibrating at the frequency of miracle.
And I love the definition of miracle he pulls out here to ground this concept. It's from Voltaire.
Yes, this is essential because it really takes the woo out of the conversation entirely. Voltaire said, "A miracle is simply a word we invented to express the known effects of unknown causes."
That is such a useful way to look at it. It's not magic, it's just physics we don't understand yet.
Exactly. It's cause and effect where the cause is just hidden from view. Proctor is suggesting that the unknown cause behind these miracles is usually this law of vibration working in the background.
We see the result, the fish on the shore, but we didn't see the underwater mechanics of how it got there.
That's a great way to put it.
Well, speaking of miracles and unknown causes, we have to talk about the story of how Bob Proctor ended up in the movie The Secret. Because when you read the transcript, the timing is, it's almost suspicious. It feels scripted.
It really does. It's a textbook case study of exactly what he's teaching.
So here's the setup. This is back in the day before smartphones were everywhere. Proctor has a cell phone, but voicemail was a bit more of a hassle to manage back then.
Yeah.
He gets this message, and it's totally garbled.
Just static and a bad connection cutting in and out.
Right? He can't really make it out at all.
And most of us, especially busy people, would just hit delete and move on. You'd think if it's important, they'll call back.
Exactly. But he doesn't. He saves it, and he leaves it sitting there for a solid month. Just this garbled digital ghost haunting his inbox.
Which implies a certain level of intuition, or at least a nagging curiosity. Why keep a message you can't hear?
So fast forward a month. He's at an airport, probably killing time, and his mailbox is full. He has to clear it out to get new messages. So he sits down and starts transcribing messages before deleting them.
And he finally gets back to the garbled one.
Yes. He listens closely over and over and manages to decode a name, Glenda, and a phone number that sounds Australian.
This is the moment where the fishing line goes taut. He's engaged.
He calls his assistant Gina, or Jenny. He corrects himself in the lecture and says, call this number, see if it's real. I think it's about a film.
And this is where the timeline gets genuinely spooky.
So the assistant calls. It turns out Glenda is part of a film crew from Australia. They are in the United States shooting footage for a project. They had been trying desperately to reach Proctor, but they were running out of time.
Specifically, they were in Aspen, Colorado, and they were only there for the weekend before flying back to Australia.
And they tell the assistant, we really wanted him in the film, but we're leaving on Monday. It's too late.
And the assistant, probably looking right at Proctor's calendar, starts laughing.
She says that's strange. Bob's doing a seminar in Aspen this week.
The coincidence factor is just off the charts here. He hadn't been to Aspen in years. But for that specific window of time, he was already scheduled to be there.
So he literally just walks next door from his hotel, sits down for a couple of hours, talks about what he knows, and that footage becomes the backbone of The Secret.
Which then reaches, as he estimates, 200 or 300 million people?
It changed his career, changed the industry. Now, a skeptic would look at that and say, wow, what a lucky break, or what a massive coincidence.
Sure, that's the default reaction.
But Proctor looks at this chain of events, the garbled message, the delay, the airport, the Aspen coincidence, and he interprets it entirely differently.
He refuses to call it luck. He says, I attracted them and they attracted me. He didn't know it was a movie crew. He didn't know it was The Secret.
But he claims he was vibrating at a level where big things were just the natural match.
He expected something, and the universe filled that expectation with that film.
So let's pivot to the why. How does this actually work? Because Proctor is very adamant that the law of attraction is actually secondary. It's the effects, not the cause.
Right. He introduces the law of vibration as the primary law. And to explain it, he starts with a very physics-based worldview. He calls it the ocean of motion.
This part tripped me out a little. He asks us to look at the walls around us.
Yes. We see walls as solid, static objects. They hold the roof up, they don't move. But Proctor reminds us that if you look at anything, a wall, a hand, a computer, under a powerful enough microscope, the solidity completely vanishes.
It's not solid at all.
No, it's particles of energy moving, vibrating, dancing. Nothing rests.
And then he gives that rather vivid example, the coffin.
It's a bit macabre, but it makes the point incredibly effective.
He says if you look at a body in a coffin through a microscope, you'd see particles of energy dancing.
Mm.
If the energy stopped moving, the body wouldn't decompose. It wouldn't turn to dust.
Movement or vibration is the constant state of the universe, whether you are alive or dead.
So everything is vibrating. The wall, the dead body, the air, and most importantly, us.
Specifically our brains. Proctor describes the brain as an electronic switching station. This is where the actual mechanics come in. It's not just a lump of tissue.
Right.
When you think a thought, you activate specific brain cells. Those cells set up a vibration in your body.
And that vibration dictates what you attract.
Exactly. The core principle is like attracts like. If you are vibrating at a frequency of fear or scarcity, you are literally a magnet for circumstances that match that frequency.
So you aren't being punished for bad thoughts.
Not at all. You just attract the physical equivalent of the vibration you're currently in. It's like tuning a radio. If you're on 98.5, you simply can't hear the music on 101.3.
Which brings us to the most practical and probably the most frustrating part of this for many listeners. Money, or specifically debt.
This is a trap so many people fall into, and it's where the standard logic of the world clashes directly with the logic of the law.
He says if your goal is to get out of debt, you are guaranteed to stay in debt forever. That sounds completely counterintuitive. If I want to fix a problem, shouldn't I focus on the problem? If my house is on fire, I focus on the fire, right?
Normal logic would definitely say yes, but the law of vibration says no. Think about it. To focus on getting out of debt, what is the central image in your mind?
The debt itself, the bills, the red ink, the stress of it all.
Exactly. You are thinking about the lack of money, the stress, the creditors. You are activating those specific brain cells we talked about.
Putting yourself in a vibration of debt.
Yes. So the universe, acting like a mirror, just keeps sending you more debt to match your signal. You literally cannot attract wealth while vibrating at the frequency of debt.
He uses that analogy of the thermostat or the temperature to explain this, and I think it's brilliant.
The heat and cold analogy, it's brilliant in its simplicity.
Right. He says you don't work on cold. You can't shovel cold out of a room.
Because cold is just the absence of heat. If you want to warm up a room, you ignore the cold entirely and focus completely on creating heat.
So in the financial sense, you don't focus on the debt, which is the cold. You focus on prosperity, which is the heat.
Right. You ignore the bad, let the dead bury the dead, as he quotes, and you visualize the good. You see the prosperity as already present in your life.
But practically speaking, and I have to ask this for everyone listening, you still have to pay the bills right. He's not saying throw your bills in the trash and manifest a check.
No, absolutely not. That would be delusion, not attraction. You take the necessary actions. You write the check, but you don't let the debt consume your emotional state.
That's the difference.
Exactly. You pay the bill, but your mental focus is on the wealth you are building, not the hole you are digging out of. You treat the debt as a temporary condition that is already fading while you focus your emotional energy on the abundance that is coming.
That's a tough needle to thread, but I get the distinction. It's about emotional focus versus physical action. He actually outlines 3 steps for this manifestation process.
Yes. Step 1 is get the idea in your mind. That's the intellectual phase. You have to clearly know what you want.
Makes sense.
Step 2 is internalize it. Get emotionally involved with the idea. That changes your vibration. This is undeniably the hardest part.
Getting past the logic.
Right. And step 3 is the physical manifestation. That's when you actually attract it.
But, and I know everyone is thinking this, what about the timing? If I sit here and emotionally internalize $1 million or a phone call from a lost loved, it doesn't usually drop into my lap in 5 seconds.
Usually no. And this is where the law of gestation comes in. Proctor points out that all seeds have an incubation period.
You plant a carrot seed, you don't get a carrot instantly.
Right. You water it, you wait, you wonder if it's dead in the dirt.
Exactly.
There is a time where it looks like absolutely nothing is happening, but the work is being done underground. The same applies to ideas. They have a gestation period.
And this brings us to what might be the weirdest, most specific claim in the entire source material, the confusion cold.
I was waiting for this. This is where he really goes out on a limb.
He says that if you have a common cold, sniffles, headache, the works is not just a virus. He claims it is the physical manifestation of a confused vibration you were in 30 to 45 days ago.
It's a bold claim. He's essentially applying the law of gestation to illness.
Right.
He argues that confusion and indecision are mental states that create a specific discordant vibration. That vibration needs time to incubate, to gestate, and when it finally manifests physically, it looks like a cold.
So the cold you have today is basically your body processing the stress of last month.
In his model, yes. It's the expression of all the confusion finally leaving the system. Whether you accept that medically or not, and I'm sure doctors would have a word or two to say about it, it fits his consistent logic.
Which is that everything in the physical world has a mental origin delayed by a gestation period.
Exactly.
It really emphasizes that we are responsible for everything around us, even the sniffles. It's a high accountability worldview.
It is. And it extends beyond your body to your environment, too. He mentions the restaurant example, which I found really relatable.
Oh, right. Why some restaurants are packed and others are completely dead, even if the food is similar.
He says you can walk into a store or a restaurant and just feel the energy. We've all felt this. You walk in and you instantly just want to leave.
It feels heavy
Huh?
or awkward. You can't put your finger on it.
Right. Proctor argues that if the owner is fearful, stressed, or has a scarcity mindset, that consciousness permeates the entire business. It's in the walls.
People subconsciously pick up on that vibration and avoid it.
They don't know why, they just don't want to eat there. But if the owner is vibrating with expectation, gratitude, and abundance, the place is magnetic. People are drawn in. The place of business is just an expression of the consciousness of the person running it.
This leads to a bit of a heavy realization he shares toward the end of the lecture. If this is all true, if we are these powerful magnetic creatures, why aren't we taught this in kindergarten? Why isn't this in the standard curriculum?
He's very passionate about this part. He calls babies linguistic geniuses. Think about it. You can teach a toddler a complex language or even multiple languages just by exposing them to it. They absorb it.
They don't study grammar books.
Exactly. He argues that if we can teach them language, we could easily teach them the law of vibration.
But we don't.
We don't, because the parents don't know it. You can't teach what you don't understand. And he drops a line that hits really hard. What you don't fix, your kids are going to inherit.
Oof, that is a serious motivator. It's not just about you getting the car or the job.
No.
It's about breaking a generational cycle of ignorance.
It really is. If you live in a vibration of struggle and hard work is the only way, and we can't afford that your children absorb that vibration just like they absorb English or Spanish.
You are passing down a legacy of limited expectation.
Exactly.
So how do we break it? What is the practical takeaway here? Because we promised actionable advice, not just high-level theory. Proctor gives a very simple homework assignment.
It's deceptively simple. He says to take the word attraction. Just write it down. Put it on your refrigerator. Put it on your bathroom mirror where you shave or put on makeup. Put it on your bank statement.
Just the word. No long affirmation, no sentence.
Just the word. The goal is to keep it top of mind. Every time you see it, you are reminded, I am attracting something right now. What is it?
It acts as a trigger to check your vibration. A pattern interrupt.
Exactly. It forces you to ask, are you expecting the fish or are you just standing there holding the rod?
Are you focusing on the debt, which is the cold, or the prosperity, which is the heat?
It forces you to realign your expectation with your desire.
I think that's a perfect place to land. It's about moving from passive wishing to active expecting.
And remembering that the universe is always moving. The ocean of motion never stops. You're always attracting something, so you might as well take the wheel and decide what that something is.
Before we sign off, I want to circle back to that Voltaire quote one last time. A miracle is the known effect of unknown causes.
It's such a powerful thought to leave with.
It really is. Because if that's true, then I want you to think about this. What miracles are sitting right next to you right now, just waiting for you to understand the cause? They aren't impossible. They're just waiting for you to tune into the right frequency to reel them in.
That's the real secret.
Reel them in, folks. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the mind of Bob Proctor. We'll catch you on the next one.
See you then.